everyone. Don't mind my mess back here. I just gotta get rid of that one of these days. But this video is long overdue. I've wanted to make a video for the past few days on this, and especially today. So I've been going to church for quite a while, but for the last few weeks it's been based around mental health awareness, and Pastor Steve and some of the other people at church, some of the leaders at church have been talking about mental health and on the topic of that. And I'm on the worship team and I'm a drummer. And after the second service, I walked outside and all of a sudden I ended up talking with a couple, and then the husband went off, and then the wife ended up talking to me. I don't believe that anything in life is a coincidence. I don't feel like anything is just ironic. She ended up just spilling her guts to me, and she was talking about mental health, and she was talking about how, like, when doctors have mental health, they don't really talk about it, and a lot of times when you go to the doctor, a lot of people lie and they cover it up because they don't want to be looked at as nuts or mentally unstable. And she was just kind of talking about how physicians struggle too, and she said a lot of times they don't really say that they're struggling. It's kind of brushed under the rug, or it's kept and hidden as secret because they don't want to be mentally unstable to be a practice. And she kind of made a point today. She's like, wouldn't you want a physician to be more honest about having a hard time in life and getting the help that they really need? And I was like, yeah, these are all thoughts that I've thought of. And I don't know how we got on this topic, but she was talking about, careers and talking about artists and how art is such a necessity, because I told her that I did art. And she's like, we need art as a society. We need art. And she was very passionate about it. And she's like, we need this. And she's like, I feel bad because, again, this is all stuff that's been in my mind. And it's like she was speaking it today. And she's like, how am I trying to say this? She goes, you take a look at when the economy's bad, people stop spending money on art and they stop spending money on that kind of stuff because they look at necessities and stuff too, like they need food and shelter and water and like all that other stuff. But she's like, I find it very sad, and this really hit home for me today because I recently, if you're not aware, if you haven't seen on my channel, I quit my job. I don't have a plan, and I quit my job and I stepped out on blind faith. Some people might think I'm reckless, some people might think I'm crazy or stupid, or here's the deal. I've had a plan B my entire life, and I am so sick of sticking my life into a job that is unfulfilling and a job that I absolutely hate and doesn't bring out the good qualities in myself. Like, I'm good at my job because I'm a hard worker, but I don't ever like what I do at a 9 to 5. I want to wake up and make films and videotape stuff and create music and paint and do all these other things that I'm good at. But it's hard to find that. So I stepped out on blind faith, and I was like, you know what? I was getting really burnt out. I was working 40 hours a week at my day job, and then I would come home, or I'd still be home because I work from home, obviously. But in my free hours that I had, I was adding items on my website, I was creating more jewelry, I was creating YouTube content, and I got so freaking burnt out to the point where I questioned my own existence. I was like, why am I even here? What's the effing point? And I felt like, what's the point of living if all I'm gonna do is be a shell of a human? Like, I was irritable, I was angry, I got to a point where I was so burnt out, I isolated myself, my relationships and my life suffered because of it, because I didn't want to surround myself around people and be negative, because I really was in a negative headspace. And if people only knew how hard it was for me to put a smile on my face and act like I was okay, no one really knew that. There's a couple people in my life which I sort of open up to, but when you struggle with mental health your entire life, you reach this place where you kind of get quiet about it, because especially if you're an empath, you can feel the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of other people. They're like, oh, well, that's, in my mind it was like, oh, Tyler's struggling again, oh, she's depressed again, what's new? And there's a part of myself that felt very alienated from the people in my life and just kind of like really hard on myself for it. I was like, why can't I be normal? Why do I get drained when I'm around people? Why is my life like this? Why am I like that? And instead of embracing those parts of myself, I was starting to hate them parts about myself, because I was so, I was so overstimulated by doing my day job and all of my creative endeavors that I couldn't be around people. I had no more room left in my cup to put anything in there. And I think that that's a really shitty part about this life, is oftentimes, I'm sure there's not one person on this earth that hasn't had a partial split second of depression or been really sad for an extended period of time. You know, we have all these labels that we put on people, and at the end of the day, we're not a diagnosis, we're a human being. We all have different limits, we have a different amount of shit that we can handle at one time. Like me, I flourish in chaos. If there's a problem, I know how to solve it because I'm good at that kind of stuff. But, you know, if there's a minor thing, like, I try really hard for it not to piss me off because that's just my personality. It's just how my brain is hardwired. And I think a lot of times we're really hard on ourselves for the way that, you know, we are inside. And then it leads to, like, this big loop, this big pattern of, I should be like this, why am I not like that person, how come this person has that, how come this person has that. Just because somebody looks happy on the outside looking in and it might seem like they have everything, there's always, what's the word for it? There is always a sacrifice on the other end. I might not have a job, I might have all the free time in the world, but when I'm in my house all the time by myself, I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't get lonely at times. I struggle with loneliness here and there, especially after I quit my job, because I've had more time to rest, I've had more time to sleep, and I feel like I'm recovering from an illness because burnout, people don't talk about burnout enough. I was so fucking depressed that I didn't know if it was gonna get better, and I was like, I mentally could not handle my job anymore. I have never not had a job since I was 14 years old. I've always worked. I've worked my ass off my entire life. For what? To say that I worked all these hours? That's stupid. I mean, I would rather have life experiences than work every fucking second of the rest of my life. And I think a lot of times, you know, to make a living and afford an apartment, I got lucky enough to purchase my house before the housing market went sky high and I got a 3.5% interest rate. My mortgage isn't that bad because I bought a house that wasn't above my means. I knew what I could afford, and I got my house. I forgot where I was going for that for a second, squirrel. But I feel bad for people who pay $1,400 plus a month for rent, and that's about the going rate. And we're so fucking burnt out. We're so burnt out as a society from working so much that oftentimes we don't have room left in our cup for those good moments. And, you know, we have people to tell us work-life balance, this and that. It's harder than it looks. I mean, some people are really good at it, but people who are creative and people who kind of have, you know, I'm pretty positive I have undiagnosed ADHD. I constantly have to be busy, and when I'm not busy, I have to tell myself why I'm not a piece of shit because I'm not doing something with my life. I'm not constantly moving, constantly evolving. I have a very hard time sitting still. And I think that nothing in life prepares you to be an adult. Nothing in life prepares you for this. We're expected to, and I've talked about this before, but we're expected to, one day we're 17, the next day we're 18 years old, and then just in a day we're an adult. And then all of a sudden we're pushed to go to college and we're pushed to get a 9-to-5. And instead of asking us what really makes us happy, what lights that spark inside of us, what do we like to do? When we're 18 years old, most of us are in sports, or we're doing extracurricular activities, or we had a job. I had 3 jobs in high school and I went to online school. I was so busy doing those things, I didn't know what I loved to do yet. When I turned 18 years old, my mom died 6 months later. She committed suicide. Nothing in life prepared me for that. So I took 3 years off of college, and I felt like a loser, and I went to school for something that would be safe. And I got myself into student debt, and I worked my ass off, and I had no social life. And, I mean, if I could change things, I went to school. I wouldn't change anything in my life, but if I had the chance to do things over, if somebody asked me what would you do, I would have gave myself more time. I would have figured out what I like to do, but I was stuck in this rut of trying to grieve and work and figure out what the fuck I was doing with my life, and I was a kid. Nobody talks about this that much. Like, you turn 18 one day and you're supposed to have everything figured out, and then there's this big push to work this 9-to-5, and some people it's for them. But the people who are creative and the people who want to make music and art and all this stuff, you're looked at almost as like you're a 5-year-old. Like, oh, you want to paint all day? That's what you want to do? Must be rough. you know, or if you do make it there, people get jealous of you and they're like, oh, it must be rough to not have a job and not do this. You know what? At the end of the day, you don't owe anybody an explanation. And if you're watching this video, figure out what you like to do. Find ways that you can possibly tweak your schedule, even if it's down the road, and tweak your schedule to take less things off of your plate so you can do those creative things, because as a creative individual, we strive the best when we're creating. We strive the best when we're making stuff. I've been struggling with depression for quite a while, you know, around my surgery time and then when I went back to work. And one of the hardest parts of all of this for me was going back to work and telling myself that I liked what I was doing, because I hated it. I didn't find any joy in it. I was stressed out. My hair was falling out. I was having panic attacks and struggling with insomnia. I couldn't sleep. And I've been struggling with this heavy weight of depression off and on. And it's like, it's heavy feelings. And it's getting better as I'm allowing myself to rest and I'm recovering slowly from this burnout. But I'm still struggling with it here and there because the weather's kind of shitty here today. Thank God it's sunny out. But I'm still trying to find, and I'm almost 30 years old and I'm still trying to figure it out. And in all honesty, I don't think any of us have it figured out, because when we get to that goal, we're always looking to the next thing. We're always like, oh, when I get here, I want to do this or I want to do that. We have new goals. Every year we change. Every decade, every season we evolve. We're constantly changing. Whether we accomplish stuff or not, we pick up new hobbies along the way. And I don't think enough people ask us, you know, they're like, oh, how's work or how are you? When people ask you that, they're doing it for small talk. It's not because they genuinely give a crap. Like, not that they genuinely care of how you're doing. I found myself personally getting really silent and not telling people stuff because people talked behind my back and they made assumptions about me, or, you know, assumed that I was fucked up in a sense. And we're not messed up, we're just wired differently. I mean, some of the most famous artists were the craziest. And if we weren't like this, how would we come up with these off-the-wall ideas? How would we come up with these things that are so different and unique? And creating is awesome. Like, creating is the essence of our life. If our creator, God, or the universe, whatever you believe in, I believe it's God, if God didn't create this, we wouldn't exist. We're all different. We have different eye color. We have a different eye shape. Our teeth are different. Our hair's different. We have different ethnicities. We eat different food. We have different likes, desires. We're all created differently. We're all created uniquely, and somehow it works together. But I just want to make this video because I'm so sick. I am so sick and tired of people trying to tell you what you should do with your life. You should get a 9-to-5. You should take the safe route. You should do this. You should do that. Well, you know what? That's great to take advice from Bob or Jim over there, but let me tell you what. I bet you $100 there's a dream that they didn't follow. There's a dream that they didn't pursue because they were scared. And to mirror that, or they feel some sort of way, they have to tell you to go the safe route because that's what they did. But are they really happy? And are you really happy? Because you're staying stuck in that 9-to-5 that you hate. Maybe you like your job, that's great, but you quit doing art and you quit doing the things that set your soul on fire because there's a part of your brain that told you were no good and why even try. So I don't know what the whole meaning of this video is. I just had to get all of this stuff off my chest because not enough people are talking about this stuff. Not enough people are expressing their heart about creativity, and it's something that I'm passionate about. I mean, I'll give you a little recap here. When I was 18 years old, my mom committed suicide. Our thing was art. The thing that we did together was art. That's how I spent the most time with her. That's what bonded us. We'd have coffee and we'd make art and we would talk, and she was my absolute best friend. And when she died, it felt like my life ended. And it did for a very long time. I struggled with my mental health. The worst years of my life is when I wasn't creating and I pushed art away and I wanted nothing to do with it. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. I'm never doing that again because it hurt me so much. And the day that I started painting, I was telling someone about this today at church. When I started painting, I started to find myself again. I found God again. I forgave God. I forgave parts of myself. I forgave people in my life. And art is what saved my life. Art is what gets me through these hard days. Creating this video is part of it. Creating a new painting or sharing an idea with somebody who's creative too. I just ran from it for so long. And I'll tell you single-handedly, the worst parts of my life and the hardest years of my life was when I wasn't creating and I was a shell of a human. and I didn't know what the hell I was doing with my life. So if you're getting anything from this video today, I just hope that you go after your dreams, and it might be hard. But would you rather have a hard road and be a starving artist for years than to stick a 9-to-5 throughout your life and spend 30 years somewhere that you're never gonna be happy? Like, what's the point? We spend 40 hours a week, if not more, at work, and that's a third of our day, I think. Yeah, that's a third of our day. And why would you spend 8 hours a day, a third of your day, somewhere that makes you fucking miserable inside? Something that you just don't like. Paying the bills, I understand. Making a living. There's another way, though. I mean, if you're creative, you have the capacity within your brain to figure it out. I know you do. You have it inside of you. God didn't give you your creative abilities to just let them sit there and rot. You have a lot more inside of you, and you have a lot of things to offer to the world, and by doing that, you're gonna find yourself, you're gonna find your people, you're gonna find your community, and there's gonna be that spark put back in your life. And so if you can get anything from this video today, I hope you make your music. I hope you start writing again. I hope you start playing the guitar again. I hope you buy a drum set if you gave up playing the drums years ago. I hope that you pick up the paintbrush. I hope that you start a different medium of art. I hope you start doing pottery or theater or dancing. I hope you dance again. I hope you do those things that bring you joy, because that's the reason you're here. That's your purpose. Those passions are your purpose. That is why you exist. So you can do those things. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox and actually get my butt to the gym, but I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you gained something from it. Let me know down in the comments what your story is and what you're gonna start doing again, because I'm watching you, holding you accountable. You do those things. Yeah, I was gonna put my seatbelt on, but anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you follow your heart. I hope you follow your passions, and you chase after the things that set your soul on fire. That's all I have to say. Peace out, guys.